The information discussed on Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin Money. Talkin Money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
All right, how you doing? Another Saturday, they just kind of keep rolling up on me. We are not in Tahoe, because why be in Tahoe when you could be in near Carmichael in a dingy studio that is apparently getting mold as we speak? So I think our buddy John Fodorero is up there walking around the links. Kent Smith has jumped in the second hot seat. How are you?
Very well. How you doing, Jeff?
Did you get your coffee working there?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
If you drink radio station coffee, you likely will die within, I'm not even sure it's hours. I'm fairly certain it's minutes. So keep that in mind as you start to,
yes,
as you curl over in the corner over there, and we'll keep going on without you. So, hey, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Give us another voice of reason, or a voice of reason, or unreasonably voiced, or something.
That's right.
Something. What is on your hat? Is that a chicken?
No, it's actually a rooster.
It's a rooster.
Yeah.
Is that like the Fair Oaks? The Fair Oaks?
It's kind of a hat that was given to me by my girlfriend. It's yeah, we'll leave it at that. So
like a very complicated rooster story. I don't want to get in between you and the rooster. That's for sure.
No, please don't.
That's right. We've got I got a lot of real estate stuff today too, and for whatever reason, like all the second home Tahoe and just a lot of things kind of buried up on me. Interesting what's happening in some of these markets that are outside the normal day-to-day, primary residence type of thing. So we'll cover a little bit of that. I gotta mention this one because I actually think I may have to go up to Bend, Oregon, and I'm fairly certain isn't Bend there's a fairly good ski resort nearby, isn't it?
There's an excellent ski resort. I was just up there 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so check this out. I mean, this for people who listen to the show regularly know I'm in the process of selling my house, and so it should be closed, as we were just talking a few minutes ago, by the end of the month, and then we're off to do something else that's going to need a little work. But I look at this and I start asking myself, should I move to Bend? Because here's and I don't know how I got onto this, but it was a cover story out of the Wall Street Journal. It was talking about all these golf course communities, and they had them, South Carolina. I mean, they just kind of took a snapshot of all these different places, and they were kind of showing, either the golf course itself had closed because they weren't getting enough membership. So you bought a custom house on the golf course, and now there's no golf course, which is kind of will tend to deflate your value a little bit. Yeah. So I just happened to catch one. This is a big house. You can see from where you're sitting, it's a big house. So this house was, and they don't tell me what the size of it is, but it looks big. Originally sold in 2007 for $3.1 million. So that's out of my second home price range and my primary home price range, and we'd have to get a few families to live with me at the 3.1 price range, but that's getting up there. But it is now on the market. You want to take a guess what you could buy this house for in Bend, Oregon, on the golf course, formerly $3.1 million, is now on the market for...
What's the name of the golf course?
Premier Golf Membership Fee, Pronghorn, Pronghorn.
3.1 in 2008?
2007.
2007.
Mm-hmm. I'll just take a stab.
$599.
Well, come on now. That would be ridiculous. $750.
Oh, come on.
$750 grand. Now, if you look at this house, I mean, it is full stone. I mean, this is, you could not come close to building that house if they gave you the land for $750 grand. So Bend, Oregon. Does Bend get a lot of rain? Is it rain?
High desert.
Oh, it's high desert there?
Yeah. Right in Central Oregon.
Yeah. I could probably go to. Is there any jobs in? Can you do anything? No, there's none. So
there's no.
Our phone screen is giving me this big zero. There is nothing up there as far as. So you got to kind of show up there with your own money, and then just kind of live off of it.
Yeah, Bend, Oregon is pretty much the Aspen of Oregon.
Okay.
So everybody that lives in Portland and on the coast comes out to Bend, Oregon as the resort area. Because you're close to Bachelor.
You could do a little. See, Bachelor would be awesome. You could do a little resort financing. I'm in the mortgage business. You could
30-minute drive to Bachelor.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll put that on my dartboard of things I won't be able to get to this year, but that's a staggering and that the article, we'll talk about what's happening in our local region, Lake Tahoe, because I've gotten some good numbers up there too. Retirement center. Oh, is that right, Ben's retirement center? I could do reverse mortgages, would be awesome. See? You just got to figure out what you're doing there, and the care facilities and all this stuff too. So
yes,
you got to figure out. Hey, our entire country is going to become a retirement center over the next little bit. So you're going to have to figure out how to service the population. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit more, and I've got a lot of things related around that. Our numbers here in the studio today are 339-1140 and 1-800-920-1140. You can text us if you'd like at 441140. And I'm going to throw out a text quiz question, and we'll or not a quiz question, but kind of a little survey. We've been doing that with lots of response. And my survey this week, and we'll just pick a random winner, if you will, or a random texter. And there is you don't have to agree with me or disagree with me. Usually I end up picking the person that generally disagrees with me for whatever reason. Backwards thinking. 441140. So this comes off of last week's news. In 1996, then President Bill Clinton signed a law overhauling the nation's welfare system. And basically what he said to the states is, if you're going to give out welfare money, you need to you as a state needs to track the people who are on welfare are making some attempt to find work or get work or do some work. And that was a President Bill Clinton directive, and that has been in effect all the way up until last week, when now President Obama has said, we'll let the states slide on that a little bit. So what they have found back in 96, from 96 to now, even though some people didn't like that rule, is that it dramatically reduced welfare rolls, and it dramatically helped people get back to work, because they said, hey, we're not going to let you just sit around and collect a check. You have to show us that you're either working for somebody, you're volunteering, you're doing something active, or you're doing something to find a job. And that rule alone really kind of just diminished and helped reduce welfare rolls. So that has been reversed now to the states, and the states are able to do whatever they want to do, which doesn't mean that they won't do the same thing, but they're not required to report back. So it's a little interesting. If you follow national politics a little bit, generally Republicans will vote for things that are state-oriented. So basically, hey, get the federal government out of our pocket, let the states decide. And yet here, the Republicans are generally screaming and saying, hey, that's ridiculous. We need to keep people focused on trying to find a job. And they're leaning more toward a little more federal mandate. So there are a little bit of inconsistencies on both sides. And it's interesting that a former Democrat made the rule, and now a Democratic president overruled the rule. So a little bit of a cross. So it probably doesn't really matter where you fall on the political scale, because both sides are mixed message on this. It's an interesting concept. So out of my text line at 441140, here's the question for you, and we will pick a couple individuals to go out some River Cats baseball. I actually have one Hellwig. I have one pair left of Hellwig Renegade tickets for next Saturday, July 28th. The gates open at 6:30 p.m. and the concert starts at 8 at the Hellwig Winery up in Jackson. And that's for the Renegade, which is kind of the band that's kind of like the Styx cover band. They do a lot of Styx and a lot of your would Styx be considered late 70s or would they be early 80s? Probably right in there.
Right in there. I'd say probably more early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah. Okay. So, and I know a couple of guys from our office were at a concert last weekend up at Hellwig, and they said it was the nicest venue they'd ever been to. Of course, it doesn't. Hellwig is just high enough up there that even if it's real hot down here, it's just up enough where it's a little cooler. Of course, it's 8 o'clock at night by the time the concert gets going, and it's an outdoor arena. It is really a nice facility. So I'll save this one pair of tickets we'll pick somebody off our text line at 441140. So yes or no, or you can answer it however you wish. Should we allow basically the states to determine if a welfare recipient has to work or not work, or should we keep to the old rule, which is the federal government kind of keeping their thumb on everybody, saying, hey, if you're going to get our money, you're going to show that you're doing some sort of activity to get the money. So we'll let that fly at 441140 and pick a run of that, and I'll put that one to the side. We'll come back to that in a little bit, too. I did note a couple things this week kind of in the market. So we'll talk about it more, and I've talked about it a little bit in the past, this Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. CFPB is they're called. And this is a group that really has a huge swath of responsibility. They kind of come out of what was called the Dodd-Frank law, which is a big law. I mean, it kind of covers consumer protection as it relates to finance, and it could be anything from your credit card to your mortgage and everything in between. So I didn't pick it up initially until last night that the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau has already made their first shot across the bow, and it wasn't in the mortgage industry. It was with the credit card giants, and in reference to surcharges on their credit card bills, letting retailers pay surcharges and different things. So it wasn't announced that way, but as I picked it up last night, this was one issue where the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, in a different arm, if you will, is looking at everything, and credit cards is number one, and a couple of big credit card companies have been fined. Capital One was one that was this week fined for some of their practices, and so that's the first swath, and you're going to hear that CFPB, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, you're going to hear that more and more and more and more and more and more as time goes on, particularly in and around this radio show, because they are the new long arm of the law for the mortgage business, and we are now as an industry trying to figure out what it is that they do, what it is that they want to see from us or don't want to see from us as an industry. So you'll see more and more of this, but that was their first go round was with the Capital One group and some of the credit cards, and so I think it was Visa and MasterCard paid a $6 billion fine. Capital One this week paid I don't know if I have the numbers wrong, a large fine. So the credit cards, obviously, I guess if you're going to work your way up from the thing that almost everybody has to, as you work your way up the scale of home loans, not everybody has. Right. Many people do, but almost everybody has some sort of a credit card. They're working their way, I guess, in terms of reaction for things. And this is a group that's a little bit or a lot bit unknown. They're kind of a new organization put together. They're a group of people that a lot of them come out of the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, who do a lot of who are responsible for a lot of advertising sorts of regulations. So a lot of younger, a lot of attorneys, kind of aggressive, kind of given, if you will, free reign, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but free reign to go out and say, we don't know what we don't know as a protection group, so we better get out there and just kind of figure out and learn the ropes and figure out who's doing what. And theoretically, I mean, quite honestly, in the mortgage business, if they wanted to, they could put every lender in the mortgage business out of business if they wanted to. Yeah, they could say, well, that's a violation for any number of minor or major things, and that's not their goal. But their goal is going to be to make their presence known. They've already started with a couple major players, one here in town and one in Southern California, as far as California goes. So you're going to start to see, that CFPB is going to be something that's going to come out and come out and come out. So anyway, they came out of the credit cards and they're off and running. So we'll see how that works.
Oh, wow.
And I mentioned last week, right at the end of the show, or toward the end of the show, the challenges. I started a company called ATM Mortgage. I was 24 years old, 25 years old. And obviously at 24 and 25 years old, I didn't have any net worth. And I started a business that from scratch, And that is something you just will not see. I'm not going to say ever again, but probably never again. It's just kind of these individual onesie-twosie entrepreneur type people who want to get out and start their own group and do their own thing. It is going to be physically impossible to do that. Yeah. And the reason I say that is there's this term that is you're going to hear more and more, at least we do in our industry, which is this too small to comply, which means that you can't afford to even hire enough people just to make sure that you're not screwing up. Right. I mean, so forget about hiring originators. The first three people you have to hire are attorneys or compliance officers before you even make your first loan. And it gets to the point where it's kind of sad, right? Because that's the new lifeblood of any industry is young men and women coming up and they working at some other company and they say, hey, I can do better than that guy. That guy's a dummy and I'm a genius and I'm going to start my own thing. And some fail and some make it, but you get this new blood of new companies and you get new growth, you get new energy. And the hurdle, at least for the mortgage business now, to get in the business, forget about starting your own company, just getting in the business, the hurdle used to be the easiest business to get into is now one of the most difficult.
Yes.
Between all the licensing and the national everything. So it's I'm worried about our industry a little bit just because I don't know who 20 years from now who's going to be the guys like myself that are 45 that have been doing it for 20 years. I mean,
right.
There's not going to be a lot of people around, and you could say from a purely just the lack of new business and the kind of this consolidation of companies. You start looking at, man, who's around? I mean, who can you even get business from anymore? I mean, who do we sell our stuff to is diminished, and who's out there? And that might be great for me. I'm in the business now, and there's less competition. But I look around and I say, I'm not sure that's good for the consumer when there's only a couple, three, big aggregators who come together. And you start looking at rates and fees, and you say, well, rates are phenomenal, and they are, but rates should be better. I mean, companies are making good money right now because they're so overwhelmed with business. Why drop your price to $1 when you're getting just as much business at $2? And so the consumer should be getting a little better deal right now, and they're not. And they won't, and they won't know the difference if you don't say something because it's so phenomenal anyway. But we're seeing the effect of just less supply, more demand, prices go up. So we'll cover some more of that and lots of. Oh boy, our text line is blowing up, so I'll try to read through these during the break. Our numbers here in the studio, if you want to jump in today, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. My text question of the day. Welfare rules have changed. Should we kind of keep our fingers, on our money? Should we determine who has to work a little bit to get their welfare money, or should we just let the states decide what they want to do with it? We'll take those and more. We're going to have a quiz question when we come back. We're going to get some passes to the Sacramento River Cats and all kinds of things to do today. So this is Talkin Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. That's Ken Smith. We'll be
right back.